Good evening, Vande Gurum to all the participants. Welcome to CAR's Saturday webinar. Let us start with our silent prayer. Thank you. Please welcome back. I invite our Vijayam Katta ma'am, Head of Academics and Training or CAR. I welcome Vijayam Katta ma'am to welcome our chief guest. Ma'am, please.
Yeah, good evening, Srisan and all of you there.
Good evening, ma'am.
It's my proud privilege to welcome each one of you to today's session. Welcome the board of members, the premium members, the zonal directors, and all participants who are there for this session, and especially our guest of the day, Dr. Jaya Parekh. For those who are new to this platform, CAR is a forum of versatile educators who have a dream of enhancing the standard of our schools to global standards. So with this dream, we are taking baby steps towards our vision. So recently we had conducted a national level quiz, and then we had a series of NEP masterclass webinar series. And the month of April saw CAR launching the NEP pedagogy series. This whole month, every Friday from 5 to 6:30, we will be having these sessions. The first one took place yesterday. And Veda Handwriting Lab is another initiative of CAR. Dr. Srisan, who is the man behind this, has a belief that handwriting it is not a good or bad handwriting, it's only trained or untrained handwriting. And we all know how handwriting affects the self-esteem, the marks, the self-confidence, and even the grade of the students. So we have a series of handwriting made easy programs. Next one is coming up on 12th April, which is a free webinar for teachers. Along with this, we keep coming up with new projects. Maybe in the coming months, we'll see more such initiatives. We have our Saturday webinars. I think this is the 53rd or one.
56th, ma'am, 56th.
56th webinar, which is a free webinar. And I am so proud and happy to welcome our guest of the day, Dr. Jaya Parekh, whom I consider a friend, whom I admire so much for her passion, her enthusiasm, and her eagerness to learn. She's a quick learner and she waits for opportunities to learn. So let me introduce Jaya formally. Jaya has a PhD in chemistry and an MBA in education management and 19 years of experience in the field of education. She's the principal of Ratna International School, Mumbai. She believes that a school should be a happy place for students and all the stakeholders for effective learning to take place. A school is deeply involved in community services, and it's acknowledged at various prestigious platforms for its innovative happy practices. She has won innumerable number of awards. I just counted, there are 14. So I won't be reading it out, otherwise I'll be stealing her time. So a few to be mentioned. She has won the Rex Karambir Global Foundation Change Championship Fellowship and Award in 2019, Torchbearer School Award supported by United Nations for Social Work Initiatives. Another one, Inspiring Educator Award by Rock Sport. Third, Excellence in Innovative Learning Programs by LDROP India, K-12 Awards in 2018. The Innovative Principal of the Year 2018 Award from International School Awards, Dubai. School Spirit Award 2018. Breaking the Glass Barrier by Spreading the Happiness Quotient Award by Shaping India. I can go on and on. There are so many awards. She has one which she deserves very well. As you listen to her, you will understand. With a lot of happiness and gratitude, I welcome Jaya to our session. Over to you, Jaya. We are all eagerly waiting to hear.
Hearty welcome.
My humble pranams to ma'am for her kind words. I wish that I come up to her expectations. Thank you. Should I begin?
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Okay. So first of all, I'm grateful to see IR, Dr. Shahjahan, Dr. Shrisan, and Vijay ma'am and the entire team of board members and the regional zonal managers, and most of all, the participants, my fellow teachers, my fellow travelers in this journey of education. I am with you and you are with me when it comes to learning. We are there to collaborate and learn from each other, and CEIR stands for it very strongly. So it's a privilege and an honor to be with CEIRs today here. Friends, I would like to now share my screen. Today, it's going to be a very interesting journey for all of us. It is something which has been strongly put up by our new national education policy. And not only that, it is something which is so very relevant to all of us, because this needs to be first practiced. We have to walk the talk before we try to bring it in our classrooms. So as the title for today's webinar says, Creating Self-Learners, the NEP Way. Let me pick up the exact words from NEP, para 4.6. It states that its thrust will be to move the education system towards real understanding and learning how to learn, and away from the culture of rote learning. Its goal will be to create holistic and well-rounded individuals equipped with key 21st century skills. If you delve deeper, you understand that learn how to learn is something which we have to aspire for. It has been envisioned by the NEP. It means it is not happening at the moment. For this to happen, we have to move beyond and above rote learning. Second thing, it also says that holistic or well-rounded individuals will have to be equipped with this skill. So this is somewhere being considered as the key 21st century skills. And honestly, I feel it is the most important skill in today's time and for the world of the future. So self-learning being the most important 21st century skills. Let's see what self-learning or self-directed, self-regulated learning, as it is known worldwide with these terms synonymously, means. Malcolm Knowles says, in its broadest meaning, self-directed learning describes a process by which individuals take the initiative with or without the assistance of others in diagnosing their learning needs, formulating learning goals, identifying human and material resources for learning, choosing and implementing appropriate learning strategies, and evaluating learning outcomes. This has been mentioned in Principles of Andragogy, which was published in 1972, and it very well applies word to word in today's scenario. Let's begin with a story. So a frog is sitting on a log watching flies in the midst of Amazon rainforests. And this frog is similar to all the others of its kind, though there is a genetic fluke This frog is a little different and he perceives his surroundings a little later, just 1 second later. So whatever has happened, he is able to see this 1 second later. What happens? So whenever the frog sees a fly within a range, he lunges out to catch it. But due to his out-of-date information, he misses out. And finally, what happens? When he's late in catching the prey, is weakened by a rarely satiated hunger, and ultimately the frog dies. What we get out of this story is that those who get the most recent data, who are the most updated, abreast with the latest, especially in the information technology times, survives. It all comes down to acquiring the skill of self-learning, because in a classroom throughout the year, you are not going to learn the latest. Unfortunately, the syllabus is planned for the entire year in advance. And that too, if you are lucky, every year there is a change in the syllabus. Otherwise, the same syllabus goes on for years, in fact, decades. There's hardly syllabus when I see in the subjects that I teach and the same subject when I learned. So if you want to remain abreast with the latest, which is so important, then self-learning is the only way out. Let us see what actually it means. We have seen it through the definition. Let's see through this bubble chart what aspects are covered in it. So one has to establish learning goals. Who is interested in self-directed learning or self-learning? The person must locate and access resources, should adopt and execute different activities which would help in achieving the goal, should monitor the progress, because in self-directed learning, one has to monitor the progress by oneself, and should also evaluate, find loopholes, gaps, and then reassess learning strategies. Depending on your evaluation, you have to see where you need to make changes. Then if there are any new goals to be created with the new learning, new feedback that you have given. So this is kind of a cycle, but this is more of a process for any particular concept, skill that you want to learn through self-directed learning. Let's see what drives self-learning. You know, there are some people who are constantly learning something or the other. And there are some who wait for someone to tell them that this is what you need to do. And they would ask for the bare minimum that they should know to pass. So, you know, in case you've forgotten, we are all born learners. We all have heard of the story of Abhimanyu, that Chakravyuh thing that he heard in the womb. And it has now been endorsed by science with the evidence of prenatal learning. So we have always been learners. Let's see what John say about it. The human animal is a learning animal. We like to learn. We are good at it. We don't need to be shown how or made to do it. What kills the processes are the people interfering with it or trying to regulate it or control it. Who do you think this last part is referring to? Who are the people interfering with the natural learning or who are trying to regulate or control it? So are we getting any responses in the chats? Who are the people interfering with this natural learning process?
We are getting, ma'am, we are getting some responses. Teachers.
Okay, teachers.
Teachers and parents.
And parents.
Right. Absolutely, you are right. So this applies to us. Let us not interfere. Let us reinforce. Let us enhance. Let us facilitate this natural process of learning and not just try to regulate or control it, being the decision makers of what they should learn and how they should learn and how much they should learn. So friends, this is a beautiful research by Alison Gopnik. I would like all of you to at least read her, listen to her TED Talk on what do babies think. She says, babies and young children are like the research and development department of the human species. Her research explores the sophisticated intelligence gathering and decision making that babies are really doing when they play. You know, I think this picture is self-explanatory. It shows how a child is able to think of strategies, knows how to persuade, knows how to convince, knows how to play pranks, knows how to get what they want. This critical thinking, solving a problem, setting a goal, finding ways to achieve it exists in us right from the time we were babies. Let's refer to this Sanskrit verse from our scriptures. It tells us about how we learn. Acharyat padmadatte padam shishyah swamedhaya padam sabra brahmacharibhyah padam kalakramena cha. It says there are 4 ways through which we learn. Roughly 1/4 from each of these ways. 1/4 from our teacher. 1/4 from our fellow students, that is peers. You can also consider the society in this. 1/4 from our intelligence. That is your self-learning. You use your own intelligence, your understanding, and you apply to further learn. And 1/4 only with time. No one can help here because the experiences, the real life experiences will only come with time. And the children who are good at self-learning from these experiences would benefit the most from this quadrant also. They would learn from the experiences that time, the life throws at them. Okay, there are some people, like we said in the beginning, who are constantly learning one thing or the other and they find so much of joy. So what drives self-learning? For example, children, we spoke about them. They are so driven. So we all know, we have seen this in the classrooms also, when children are actively engaged, all their senses are into it. This is something which is of their choice. They find interesting, connected to real life. They feel important. That is when they are actively engaged, and that is what drives self-learning. Reflection is another important drive. When you give them enough of time to think about what they have done, ask them to think on the experience, what they learn from it, then going deeper. For example, a few questions here have been put up on the right of the slide. What should I do next? How well did I do it? Do I see any patterns? Where could I use this? What was important about it and what did I do? Actually, I said in a reverse order. I moved from the higher order to lower order thinking skills on Bloom's taxonomy. I hope you have made a note of it. So we have to start making our children reflect also on the 6 levels of Bloom's taxonomy and not just simply ask them the last 3 questions. What did you do? What was important about it and what did you see? But let them evaluate, let them analyze, let them create. Life is building upon prior knowledge. The teachers who are able to connect children to what they already know, that is when it becomes interesting for them because they start getting confidence as they could see there is some foundation which is already existing in them. So we have to be careful about it, that we build upon prior knowledge. We keep motivating. A self-learner also has to be self-motivated. And I'm talking from the point of view of teachers as well as students. Like I said in the beginning, it's not possible for me to talk about self-learning in isolation only for students because you won't be able to bring in these skills in them until you get it in yourself. We have to walk the talk. We have to model this skill of self-learning. So one has to be self-motivated as a teacher, should also start motivating children and find ways how each child gets self-motivated and use those methods and strategies. Setting goals. When there is clarity on what you want to achieve, there is a drive. Your mind starts thinking about the steps that are to be taken. So SMART goals. Everybody is aware, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals have to be set by a self-learner. There should be timely feedback that a self-learner must seek. As a teacher, we must give feedback, but as a self-learner, one must seek feedback from experts, from colleagues, from peers, from mentors. Let's talk about some self-learners that we all have heard of. Eklavya, a very, very inspiring character from our mythology, from Mahabharata. For me, it's history. It's not mythology, by the way. in my opinion. So from history, we see a figure like Ekaravya, who was not a real student of Dronacharya, but who believed that simply by meditating on Dronacharya, by trusting the instincts, and by perseverance, he would become the best archer, and he did become. This is the best example I can say that is of a self-learner, even without getting a feedback from a teacher, without clearing an examination, without knowing what is the syllabus. Such a highly motivated self-learner. Now talk of current times. Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft. He is one of the autodidacts. Autodidact is a self-taught person, a person who teaches himself any skill, any knowledge. So we'll be talking about autodidacts because self-learners are those who are autodidacts. He reads hundreds of books on various subjects of his choice. Elon Musk, he's the latest sensation, if I may say, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX and so many other companies. Somebody for whom the box does not exist. We talk of thinking out of the box, for him the box does not exist. He says, I was raised by books first, then my parents. Something really to say. When I was, writing this, my daughter said that this is very rude of him and very ungrateful of him. But then, we had some interesting discussion. So I'm saying this is something really huge for somebody to say. But somebody like him, I have seen that he is fearless and he speaks his mind. So yes, reading has given him what he could reach today. Let's talk of this Nobel Prize winner, John Gurdon, who has won the prize in 2012 for discovering that mature cells can be reprogrammed to become pluripotent. Pluripotent, that is, it can give rise to or produce different kinds of cells. Usually, it is the immature cells, stem cells, which can do it, but he discovered that mature cells can also do it. Now, why I'm giving his example? This is to show that this all has been possible because of his self-learning and drive to pursue his passion. I would like to present to you his science report from his school times. It's the middle of the year report. I would like to read this out to you. It's his report for the subject of biology. And the teacher, trainer writes, it has been a disastrous half. His work has been far from satisfactory. His prepared stuff has been badly learnt, and several of his test pieces have been torn over. One of such pieces of prepared work scored 2 marks out of a possible 50. His other work has been equally bad, and several times he has been in trouble. He will insist on doing his work in his own way. I believe he has ideas about becoming a scientist. On his present showing, this is quite ridiculous. If he cannot learn simple biological facts, he would have no chance of doing the work of a specialist, and it would be sheer waste of time, both on his part and of those who have to teach him. First of all, I am shocked to see that an educator writes this kind of a report. Thank God the times have changed. You can see here very well the signs of him being a self-learner, because it says very clearly he likes to do things his own way. And how wrong we can be as educators in our observations and predictions. He did not just become a scientist, he made history. So it's by itself says a lot. I would not go on. Let's take another example of this scientist on whose work the Boolean algebra, which is at the heart of the computer logic, has been established and developed. So George Boole was a self-taught mathematician and philosopher. Similarly, the father of microbiology, Van Leeuwenhoek, he developed microscopes that were more powerful than anything else at that time. And the first of the microscopes were initially observed by him with his microscopes. And he was self-taught. This is to be remembered. The Wright brothers, for us, the kings of flight. These Wright brothers, you'd be surprised to know, I was surprised to know when I was doing my research about it. Neither of them completed school. They owned a bicycle shop to make a living and self-studied aeronautics as a hobby. Do not ridicule anybody spending time on their hobbies, and do not consider hobbies as a waste of time. I think that is one great message here. Other notable autodidactics for you, Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, then Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, Oprah Winfrey, Leonardo da Vinci, and there are many more in this list. Now, why are we talking about them? Can somebody please mention to me, why am I talking about these people? Let me also access the chat. See your responses. I'm waiting for your responses, friends. So just let me know if my voice is clear, the video is clear, PPT is clear.
Yes, Jaya, your video, audio, everything is clear. Yeah.
Okay. So I expect
Maybe
some
you can
answers
repeat
from
the
the
question
participants.
once again.
And there is no wrong answer. Please tell me, why am I talking about these people? There is no response, right, ma'am? They are self-learners. Yes. We're talking about these self-learners. What do we see in their stories? They're highly successful people and they're self-made. Thank you, Ms. Deepa, Ms. Kusum, Ms. Toshan. They're not completed studies. They've done a great job in society. They are more common, inspiring. They're self-motivated. They are not restricted to one branch. Strong determination. Self-motivated, self-learners, pursued their dreams with grit. Right, they are self-learners. But what do we see special in their story? They are successful self-learners, can be powerful, they inspire us, their achievements. Without teachers also, they were not great people. Yeah, initially. Then they are famous and successful. Yes, right? Okay, so we have to go a little beyond it. Thank you. These are all wonderful answers. We learn from experiences, no matter their marks. Beautiful. So, you know, why we are talking about it? Because they have not credited their learning to the schools they come from. We are representing schools. What is it about the schools that none of these people have given credit to their schools, and they feel that what they have done apart from the schools is something really great? And we can see they are not simply saying this. We can see they have done something really great. So there is a lot of lesson for us. I totally agree with them that their self-learning, their desire to go beyond textbooks, beyond schools, beyond some curriculum is the reason for what they have become today. So there's a great lesson for us as teachers to stop thinking that our children are going to make great individuals and will contribute to this world as global citizens only if they score excellent in their academics, only if they have the best of the notebooks prepared, best notes, and they can just debate in the classrooms very well. It's much more than that. It is beyond that. And also the example of John Gordon was hard-hitting. One must be very careful. You know, this report, this sample has been kept at John Gordon Institute. It has been sourced from there. Now, this is not a very positive document to look at as an educator. I personally, insist when the teachers write remarks for students to be very, encouraging and positive. It's our job as a teacher to give feedback, but it is not necessary to put it in a ridiculing way or showing that you have lost all hope from the children. You have to give hope. You are the ones that's going to motivate that child with your words. So that is something which I think is an important takeaway. So I spoke about, not limiting to textbooks. Is it possible? Am I just talking of something, I'm making up? And is it a dream? No, it's happening in reality. This school called 42 School, it's in Silicon Valley. It's called 42 Tuition-Free Coding University. This school does not have any professors. It is open 24/7. The training is inspired by modern ways of learning, that is peer-to-peer pedagogy and project-based learning. There is no formal teaching as such. They all learn each other, learn by themselves. It's a non-profit organization. It's entirely free. It's funded by several billionaires and other industrialists. The main being Xavier, I think they would call it Javier because he's a French billionaire. All the intellectual property belongs to the students. So yes, this is happening in the world, friends. Let's be aware, let's learn their strategies, see if we can change the scenario of how learning is happening in our classrooms, because our responsibility is not just to take care of them until they clear their final examinations, but we are responsible for building them, building their skills, building their character, and ultimately building the world, our country and the world. Vijay ma'am says we are nation builders. I totally agree with it. And this depends on what are we building in our classrooms today. It's all about the mindset. So after all these people, when I said, why am I talking about them? It's because I wanted to bring to your attention their mindset. Not that they have not faced failures. In fact, the failures of people like Elon Musk are iconic. There is a long list of failures, but look at the grit, perseverance, and the confidence. It's just because of the right mindset, that is the growth mindset. I would like all of you to read the works of Dr. Carol Dweck, C-A-R-L-D-W-E-C-K, Dr. Carol Dweck. Listen to her talks. She has given the concept of growth mindset and fixed mindset. These people whom we have seen today, and those who want to become good learners, self-learners, must have a growth mindset. And some of its characteristics are believing that failure is an opportunity to grow, believing that I can learn to do anything I want, accepting challenges as opportunities to growth, accepting that my efforts and attitudes determine my abilities. My talents are not fixed. My intelligence is not fixed. My brain is a muscle. The more I'll use it, it will grow. It will become stronger. Feedback is appreciated and welcome by the people with growth mindset. And they are inspired by the success of others. They do not feel jealous. They do not feel the negative tinge of competition, but they are genuinely happy with the success of others. They reach out, they understand, and they try to learn for themselves. And they like to try new things, and they do things for the joy of doing things. And there are some more beautiful attributes of growth mindset, which I would like you to study in detail. As you all are well-learned teachers, school leaders, you have understood what fixed mindset is, whatever growth mindset is not. Today's time is a time of big change. Today's world it has moved rapidly to an information abundant and a hyper-connected society. It requires change in the skills and information we have been considering sacred till now. The ritual of education alone will not take us far. If we really want to go someplace, we have to do more than the traditional compliance with the mandatory requirements. I request Dr. Sreesan to kindly be on mute.
Sreesan, yeah.
So let me give you an example, friends. There was a time when we were hunters. Homo sapiens were hunters. Over centuries, the changes, development, and progress, civilization happened. Whether it was invention of a wheel, it was fire, it was a discovery of fire, or starting farming. There was a time when 90% of people were growing their own food. Then things like industrial revolution happened. People left farming. Most of them, I'm talking of the majority and the general that happened in society. People started getting into industries. There was a movement from low skill jobs, like from a farming thing to a low skill job of a factory worker. It didn't require too much of specific specialization or degrees of education. In today's time, when we talk of today's time and when we compare with the prehistoric times, it's imperative to take a look at how the top skills have changed over the years. Let's see this comparison of top 10 skills given by the World Economic Forum in the Future of Jobs report, 2015 and 2020. I would like you to see this and analyze. There's no wrong answer. After comparing, put your thoughts in the chat box. Yeah, Dipali ji, thank you for talking about Sugata Mitra's hole in the wall. The concept is called soul. I was going to take his example, but then decided against it at the last time. Thank you for sharing it. He proves the concept of self-learning. All the learning is happening on the cloud. That is the computers. Yeah, thank you. Please let me know your observations. Anything that stands out to you. I haven't got any responses. Any drastic changes you see? Emotional intelligence. What emotional intelligence? What do you want to say about it? Okay, emotional intelligence makes an appearance in 2020. Right. True, Smita Gandhi ma'am. Sri Vidya ma'am says, Namaste ma'am, happy to see you here. The major shift is from managing people to doing what you think differently. Problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, cognitive flexibility. So important, and that's where self-learning is all about. You're flexible with your thought process, and you can think of doing new things and learning things. Creativity, cognitive flexibility. Yes, and that's what growth mindset is also about. Emotional quotient, teamwork. Thank you so much. I hope you retain what is here, and let me take you to the next slide, which will tell you the recent report about the top 10 skills required in 2025, 4 years from now. Just remember the top 4 or 5 skills of 2020. Complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordinating with others. See 4th and 5th, people management, coordinating with others, and the others. Let's see the next slide. Now, not only in the 4th and 5th place, do you anywhere see coordinating with others, people skills, the people management? Yeah, in a way, leadership is there, but it is at 6th place, leadership and social influence. What have taken over? Which skills have taken over the others? Analytical thinking and innovation. Earlier, it was only creativity. There was no mention of innovation. Creativity can be tweaking something old, seeing with a twist. Innovation is something which is not existent at all and making it possible. Like Corona. Dealing with Corona required innovation. It was something which people had never thought of, heard of, imagined. And with its new mutations and the strains, it's all the more boggling, and much more innovation, analytical thinking, active learning, complex problem solving is required here. Now, why active learning? This is something which was not shown anywhere till 2020. And this skill has taken the 2nd place. All of a sudden it is included and it is at the 2nd position. Friends, do you think self-learning or the self-directed learning is connected to active learning and learning strategies? Yes. Okay. Yes, situations keep changing. One has to be prepared. Technology has appeared. Some are writing direct message to me. I would suggest you please write for all. All would benefit. Thank you, friends. I'm so happy that you all are paying attention and so involved. Thank you. Sorry if I'm not able to read out loudly each comment, but I'm reading everything. I hope you trust me. Okay, thank you. So these are the skills, and why are they important for us? Because we are responsible in the formative years for developing the skills that the children need in their future, because as said by Buckminster Fuller, none of the world's problems will have a solution until the world's individuals become thoroughly self-educated. We are responsible for creating the individuals of tomorrow. We all have, these things in our school's vision and mission. The citizens of tomorrow, the confident global citizens, socially conscious and responsible. Responsible for what? Responsible for solving world's problems. And for solving those world's problems, what Buckminster says is, it's possible only when every individual becomes thoroughly self-educated, because the scope of bookish knowledge or the scope of a board-directed curriculum is not good enough. It's not updating every second, but on various media platforms, you can be updated every single second. You can learn and gather as much information as you want from reliable sources for the particular in particular context that you want. So what we have learned from the comparison of the reports by WEF is that the skills acquired over a lifetime become obsolete in an instant. New skills become important, in fact, critical for success. New skills wanted, fall in demand of old skill sets, lifetime of a particular skill set decreasing. Yes, it is changing so rapidly. We just saw it. So what has become important for us, right from planning our lessons to delivering it to assessing it, is to ensure that we do not just focus on the bottom three, the lower order thinking skills given by Bloom's, but also bring our attention and focus to the top higher order thinking skills on Bloom's taxonomy, that is analyze, evaluate, and create. If you see the skills list again, you would find it requires them to analyze, evaluate, and create solutions, create templates, create new systems and procedures to solve problems, evaluate, these, if I take the current examples, the evaluation for the effectiveness of different vaccines is going on. And this is what is important. It's not important to remember what all vaccines are available. I mean, that's something very basic. You don't have to waste your time in just remembering those names. On a click, you can get it anywhere. You cannot just stop, especially the people from medical field. They cannot stop at understanding about vaccination or just applying it in their nursing homes. They need to also understand how they are being analyzed, how these things are being evaluated, and who is creating, can they create this discussion later about specialists and generalists. The worthless class? Yes, worthless and useless class, a term given by Dr. Yuval Noah Harari, a professor of current times who has become an icon for many for his radical thoughts. Some really appear to be unbelievable, but personally, I like the way he researches. He connects it to all that we have seen in the history and to the current trends. On that basis, what he predicts for the future. So anyway, to each his own, I would suggest you read his works. So what he says about it. What is this worthless class that we're talking about? So in a 2017 article, Dr. Harari argued that through continuing technological progress and advances in the field of artificial intelligence, by the year 2050, a new class of people might emerge, the useless class. People who are not just unemployed, but unemployable. Let this be absorbed. A class of people who are not just unemployed, but simply unemployable. So they are not contributing in any way to the society and for themselves, of course, I'm not even talking about the fate of the people. So what is this worthless class and how and why? So I would encourage you to read, but then just to, in short, tell you about it. I was talking to you about the time when most of the people were involved in farming, growing their own food. Then they moved to industries. Now, from industries, the new information technology, and it's now beyond our understanding, at least my understanding, the way it is progressing with machine learning, with artificial intelligence. Now, the industries where the manual labor is in a huge number will no longer depend on manual labor or human labor. A robot or different machines would be able to handle the work more accurately, more precisely, in lesser time, without any, failings of a human. Machines don't get tired. Machines don't have to handle, unions, etc. These are secondary things. But what I'm coming to is the shift from farming to becoming, laborers in industries was not a huge thing, because from a low skill thing to another low skill thing. Here, is it possible still? Would it be possible still to get those jobs with everything being automated? Would all be software engineers and having those qualifications, which would probably help them secure some job there? So that is why, today's world is a VUCA world, volatile. It's unexpected, unpredictable, what's going to happen in the future. So this class, which he says is going to come up, somehow I feel the people who are aware of it today and can start learning these new skills which are needed for tomorrow, and at least remain updated with what is current and try to learn how the world is moving, staying in touch with the times, not just in terms of knowing or having information, but getting skilled, learning as much as we can. Then probably we would save our children, ourselves, by children, our students, our families, everybody, or the future generation under our care, from being a part of this worthless class. So self-learning seems to be the vaccine. Vaccine is the buzzword. Forgive me if I've been using it here. So self-learning is a vaccine against uselessness, or it's an antidote to it. One has to anticipate the coming future. If you are updated, you can think of the next moment. But if there's a huge gap in your connection, things are much more unpredictable. Identifying the new learning needs. So go by such reports. They are based on immense level of research. So believe what they're suggesting as the new skills needed. Let us start building up those skills. Accelerated learning is important. So one has to increase the pace at which we learn by taking self-initiatives for learning. Learning well is critical. You must learn for yourself to know about it. You don't have to learn to just write it on a paper in an examination and then forget about it. So it should not be shallow or superficial. Somebody has raised hand. So maybe we will take question answers towards the end. We still have a lot of time, if that's okay. Or you can write your question in the chat box.
That's fine, Jaya. That's fine.
Right. Yeah. Now, antidotes to becoming the useless class, it's kind of a repetition, but sometimes the repetition of certain important things is crucial. So acquire new skills, change the mindsets, work on yourself, and become not only useful, but invaluable. This is for us, this is for our students, and this is for us to ensure that our children know about it. I will be sharing this presentation with CEIR. I have shared it. I request if they could mail to all our participants or share on any platform they find convenient. Please share with your students who can understand this. Self-learning is the key to success. And here, what we are trying to say, also based on various researchers and scientists, philosophers, researchers talking about these things, what we are trying to put here is Getting ready for the gig economy requires acquiring a unique repertoire of skills quickly. It's not just one or two, it's a repertoire of skills, and it's a unique repertoire of skills. It is a whole set of those skills, and they have not been practiced and known till now, so they're all unique. Now, first, let me break this down to each important thing here. Gig economy. Anyone who would just like to propose, a meaning, or who knows what is gig economy? Ms. Sunita, no mention of empathy or humanitarian values. Absolutely, I agree with you. And I would mention about it when we come to another research and a book which talks about impact of machine learning and artificial intelligence, etc., on the world, on humans. I think the values, morals, they are not to be taught as separate courses and skill them in it. It has to become a part of life from the culture that is followed at home and in the school. So, of course, there are skills given by WHO, the top 10 skills, which include empathy that you have mentioned here, compassion, empathy, self-awareness. So that is important. But to some extent, personally, I feel they also have to become a part of life by following it. Following it, it should become so ingrained in us to be truthful, to be honest, to be empathetic and compassionate. Like Ms. Kusum says, they are not to be taught but caught. Yeah, to a great extent, I agree with you. So I didn't get the answer for gig economy. Let me tell you. So, the word gig, okay, Mr. Suryavanshi seems to have found some information. He knows some information. He has written these people are called gig workers. Yes, right. So, usually the term gig is used for performances like, I have a musical gig today in this cafe this afternoon. So it's like an independent, individual sort of work as a freelancer, as an artist. It's not a full-time job. It's not the traditional way of working at some place for so many hours, etc. So this kind of economy is going to come up. We have seen already, there are jobs now for online teaching, online doing so many things where people don't have to physically go. So it's becoming a gig, like, deliver something somewhere, earn for it. That's one gig. It's not a full-time permanent kind of a position. So we have to get ready for this kind of a gig economy. People would be working on contract basis, maybe hourly basis, or, the delivery basis, how much you're delivering, what you're delivering. It requires a lot of skills to do that. Now, an interesting book I would suggest all of you to read called Range by David Epstein. And he says, generalists triumph over the specialists. It is one of the key ideas in this book that says that early specialization and lots of deliberate practice does certain kind environments, but it is not useful for succeeding in wicked environments where it might be better to be a generalist. Now, if I talk of wicked, let's take this pandemic. It's a wicked situation. People did not know about it. So there is no prior information. There is no SOP, a systematic procedure that people can simply follow and understand and, win over the problem. There is no feedback immediately of what you do because nobody knows about it. This is a wicked environment. Similarly, there could be organizations, there could be kinds of jobs you do which are in a wicked environment. Kind environments, I would first take you to this. Kind environment is a work environment where the challenges are known, the processes are known, the things are more or less same, routine. There are people who know about it. There are people who can give you right feedback and accurate feedback. The pattern is kind of repeating, every day, like a teacher's job. I'm sorry to say, but more or less we know, okay, if I'm teaching the same subject, same class, same curriculum, then more or less I'm clear, okay, that's all I have to do. I may make some changes in the activities I do, some pedagogy, etc. But that's a kind environment. There are people also who might give you feedback, right, from the children themselves. So you have peers, you can you can look up to for inspiration, for suggestions, etc. So kind environment, I have made it clear what it is. Wicked environment also, here the problems or situations are dynamic, they keep changing with time. It involves other people and judgments. People won't give you, compassionately any feedback. Feedback is not happening by itself. So when people work in wicked environments, then according to this book, the specialists, as I've shown here, specialists are too deep in their knowledge in a particular special field of specialization, one or two. Whereas generalists are those who know about a lot of things. They may not know that great in depth for each of those areas of information, but they know about a lot of things. So because they know about a lot of things, something about a lot of things, they are able to make connections. When they face some problem which is not of their field, they can at least make connections like who can help, which field can we approach, how can this be managed using various other skills. So if okay, I would like you to tell me the second picture here on the slide. First one is showing Swiss knife. A Swiss knife has so many different tools for different purposes, whereas a drill machine at a time, it provides just one kind of a service. So which one is like a generalist, which is synonymous to or analogous to, sorry, which of the two is analogous to generalists, the Swiss knife or a drill machine? I said generalist. Swiss knife, yeah, right, I'm getting this answer. Drill machine does only one work at a time. It means it is specialized for only that task. Whereas Swiss knife can do a lot of general other things and is like a generalist. Thank you so much. Let's see. Sorry, this gets stuck sometimes. Now this is a quote. I'm using it as an analogy. First, let me read out the quote. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, some few to be chewed and digested. That is, some books are to be read only in parts, others to be read but not curiously, and some few are to be read wholly and with diligence and attention. So true. He has said this, Francis Bacon has said this for books. To a great extent, it seems analogous to me, analogous to several skills that we are talking about. We must know a lot of skills. At least we should be exposed. We should be aware of what all skills. A few we must try out just for the joy of trying, knowing what the hype is all about. Few we must try to learn, which we feel can help us in the future. Few we must specialize in. So this is how I take this analogy. And let's see how the world is going to change. There was a time when a phrase which was used always in a derisive way, jack of all trades and master of none. The tables are going to turn, it seems, and the jack of all trades are going to win over the master of one or two. So there are various kinds of individuals or employees to say, depending on their understanding and expertise of different skills. These types of employees are like I's, T's, X's. The most desirable type in today's industry is T type. T means the top flat part shows a broad understanding, means a broad range of skills, concepts, understanding that they have about various core areas. So apart from their core area, they can work with or think of so many other things. Their depth is for a few of those. That is their main core area, their functional area. their discipline of expertise, their speciality is in a few, but it doesn't mean that they are like just I. They also know a little about so many other things. Let's think about it, because we have to also work on developing the T in ourselves as well as in our students. Now, this book by Anthony Seldon, The Fourth Education Revolution. Will artificial intelligence liberate or infantilize humanity? To a great extent, this is very much in connection with the question one of the participants asked. And how would this impact learning and education? How is artificial intelligence, machine learning going to impact learning and education? And I have highlighted a few of the important points I felt that need to be put before you. This book explains how AI is fundamentally transforming education. This is a recent book, like about 2 years old. You know, the kind of future that is being imagined is like the one where preparation of material means the learning material, instructional material, knowledge material will be created, will be done by curation specialists whose job is to work with AI machines to identify and to author the most appropriate material for particular student profiles. So it's not all the teachers making their own teaching plans and other materials, but a few of them, curation specialists, simply going to work with those programmed machines who will be able to identify what is the right material as per the need of the topic, also as per the need for individual student. Such a differentiated level of preparation. Then organization of the learning space also is going to be very different. The classrooms, the current traditional setup would no longer apply, where everybody's sitting together learning same thing from the same teacher at the same time, because here people will pursue what they wish to pursue, the method they want to use, the different resources they want to use. So it's said, according to the book, that separate classrooms will disappear in time and replaced by pods and wide open flexible spaces, which can be configured for individual and flexible collective learning equipped with sensors. Now, let me elaborate what this book actually says. There would be sensors which can identify minor physiological and psychological changes a student is undergoing, which even a teacher might miss, how a student is feeling at a particular time, whose heartbeat is increasing rapidly. We might miss this out, but they are going to be so accurate, so timely, so perfect in following the program they are supposed to implement. We might not do it. We learn a lot, but we may not to the word deliver what we are expected. Then third is presentation of material to optimize learning and for deeper understanding. The kind of materials that technology and these technologies can provide is simply outstanding. And we all have come to realize its importance, its impact during this pandemic, during the time of flipped learning and blended learning, online learning, virtual learning. So all the visual representation and the games and whatnot being used with the use of AI, the teacher in some way is going to become redundant. I'm simply telling you what the book says. It's as hard hitting for me as it is for you. I don't want to just create or paint a very grim picture, but turning a blind eye is not going to solve anything. Because once we know the situation, we would know what is needed to be done. Fourth, setting assignments and assessing progress. So right from monitoring to evaluating, advances in real-time assessment, it means the moment you have appeared in it, you get the feedback. You don't have to wait for 15 days for the teacher to take time to do the corrections, etc., and to give you the result and wait for the PTM, etc., to happen. So there is a real-time feedback happening. It eliminates the waiting period. The question papers can be designed in such a way, like most of the objective kind of questions, They don't need a teacher's intelligence to sit and assess. So those things can very well easily be done by machines. That's still happening for various examinations through different technologies. Preparation for terminal examinations and writing summative reports. All these things can be done with technology. Will we need teachers in the future? And this book addresses that as well. So, the teacher's job definitely is going to change. We can't work with a traditional approach because it would not apply to anybody. People would lose interest in learning in that way. It would have no application, probably. And we'll see the emergence of the AI fluent smart educator. Now, it's not a matter to worry too much, because when the technologies like MRI, CT scan, etc. came into picture, these technologies did not replace doctors. In fact, the doctors were supported. Their work became more effective and efficient with the use of the technology. So this fourth industrial age, this revolution, technological information revolution that our era is seeing at the moment, it's called the fourth industrial age. It will help educators to become important element of the success of our country and the global world and the economy. It's up to us to be skilled enough to use technology, to master it. So we have to keep upgrading ourselves. I am again saying we are talking of creating self-learners, but that's only possible when we understand how self-learning happens and when we start implementing in our lives and we start modeling it. Now, unlearning what you learned in school. Mark Twain has said, I have never let my schooling interfere with my education. Why schooling is taken, as something very negative? Where are we going wrong? What do we have to unlearn? Where are we going wrong? Before I talk about it, I would like you to tell me, in short, simple sentences, what do you think we are going wrong? Where we are going wrong? All of us as educators. You might not be doing it personally, Just think in general as educators. Rote learning, spoon feeding, same pattern for everyone. Yes, I'm liking your answers. Not focusing on individual difference, judging on marks, forcing to learn, following set syllabus, daily connectivity missing, standardizing exams, focusing on marks, old-fashioned subjects, depriving from creativity, judging, expectation that all children learn the same way. Schools are stuck. Traditional teaching, restricting everyone in one box, focusing on marks, compelling to learn, following set syllabus, rote learning, fixed curriculum, student time is less, teacher time is more for speaking, stereotypical process, we are not tech savvy, we fail in encouraging empathy, less importance to skills development, creative learning. I mean, you mean to say lack of creative learning. Real life situations are not connecting with academics, judging, education lacking orthodox mindset, food feeding, stress to particular textbooks, mugging up skills, assessment style, not thinking beyond bookworm, repetitive, unit test is not accepted, lack of attention to children, lack of application, right? Herd mentality, lack of being teachable from teachers' end. That's beautiful. This is for you. But I've also seen, teachers have become more pliant and are more flexible these days when they realize that, there's no doubt other than learning new things and new methods. And I'm so proud. This goes out, the salute goes out to each one of you there, my dear friends. All have shown that we can learn and we can do whatever is needed. Okay, beautiful, amazing examples. All life we keep telling children, draw within this box, make your plan within this, color within these lines. And then we say, go out of the box, think out of the box. think of new things, be creative. And creativity at school level is totally shunned at every possible opportunity. So a few areas which you all have pointed out. Compliance to set rules is what we expect. Total obedience. They cannot question us. Now, not questioning is not going to help at all in the future. They will question everything around them. Unless you question, you can't find solutions. And learning and teaching also, more than giving right solutions, it is about invoking the right kind of questions, encouraging right kind of questions. Creativity not allowed. Syllabus is the central focus. Marks oriented. One correct answer philosophy. No voice and choice of the student. It's a set syllabus. You do this. Nobody's asking you, how should I plan my lesson? Which method I should use? What activity should we do? So this is where we are going wrong. And that's why these great people are finding something wrong with the schooling. Difficult to predict what knowledge and skills would be required in 10 to 15 years. One of the goals of school education should be making children independent learners. Why? Because in our school, we won't be able to cover, we are not covering, and we will not be able to cover all the skills that tomorrow's world needs. So the responsibility is on the child to prepare himself. Now, those skills should be taught by which a child can adjust. And the most important skill is self-learning. Make children self-learners so that they can pick up skills on their own. We should guide them on how they can self-learn. I'll come to all that. Till now, we were establishing that, yes, there is a need to change. What are those skills? Why self-learning is an important 21st century skill? Why do we need to self-learn? So, the need for it, the importance of it, and the how we will be talking. So friends, there has to be a shift now. Let's see what is the traditional teacher-directed learning scenario. You would all agree. What you have mentioned in the chat box earlier and in the previous slide we saw, it's more or less the same thing, teacher-directed learning. The teacher sets exercises, the teacher prepares a plan, gives content, the teacher monitors and assesses, the teacher grades. In a student-directed learning or self-directed learning, in presence of the teacher, this is not totally self-directed independent learning, but in a self-directed learning environment, the role of a teacher is to teach students to set their own goals. So teach them goal setting. Let them decide and choose what they would like to study. Teaching students the skills and processes involved in setting goals, making plans, initiating actions. I'm reminded of a beautiful practice that Sri Vidya ma'am's school does, TVS Academy, Hosur, when she delivered a talk for our teachers at our Adharshila platform. She spoke in depth about setting goals. So involving children in the process itself gives them a sense of responsibility, taking responsibility for their own learning, showing agency for their own learning. Then negotiating student proposals. Let them propose what they would like to read, how they would like to learn, and then you negotiate with them. Guide them through their challenges, give them challenging activities, review their assessment, but involve them, give a good feedback for change. It's not, you can do better, this is good, this is best, try hard, you can do next time. No, that's not helping. So review their work and give the feedback which can help. So teacher has to be a facilitator. So like a guide by the side, not the sage on the stage. Education is really aimed at helping students get to the point where they can learn on their own. Are we doing it? Are we bringing our students to that point where they can learn on their own? Let's make that as our personal vision and mission. This beautiful example I wanted to share with you. I would not read out. Let's take a quiet time and all of you read this, share your thoughts after reading this. Okay, any comments? Do you agree with this gentleman's thought? Okay, right. Thank you, everyone. So what are the actual required skills, how we can practice in the classrooms? Coming down to that, because ultimately it's all about how to make NEP possible, that vision of NEP of teaching our children learn how to learn, be made possible in our classrooms. So the basics like active reading. Reading should not just be passive reading, but active reading. When we say active reading, we do not just read out or pronounce the words correctly. We keep making the meaning as we progress with every sentence. We see the progression, the logical movement from the top of a paragraph to the end of the paragraph. We are able to or take the message from it. We are able to paraphrase it in our own words. We are able to summarize it. We are able to also understand some not very overtly written things. That is, we are able to read between the lines. This is when we can call our reading as active reading. So we have to see to it that our children become active readers. While they're reading, they should also have their questions. They should be able to have curiosity, should be prepared with the questions which they can share with the class or ask the teacher. Yes, the teacher should model that kind of a reading first. Totally agree with you. Then comparing and contrasting is another basic skill which we need to ensure that children have. So do not restrict yourself to the particular concept that you're teaching, but always try to show similar things, how they compare with each other, and also show how they contrast with each other. For example, if you say photosynthesis is like plants making their food. So how plants making food is different from humans making their food. Let them compare and contrast. Let them not just learn the definition, the process of making food by, green plants, etc., in presence of so and so is called this. Let them compare and contrast with what they know. Then taking notes using relevant graphic organizers. In the further slides, I'm going to show some graphic organizers. Then differentiating between concept and skill. We have to understand a lot of our teaching is concept heavy. We want them to just know how it is defined, what the concept is all about theoretically. Skill is something which is practiced. That is the difference. Skill is not just simply learned. A concept can be learned and understood, but skill has to be practiced to become an expert in the skill. So let's say, even if you're talking about self-learning skill, it has to be practiced. They cannot just know the theory. Okay, a self-learner's attributes are so and so. These are the resources for self-learners. I know the theory of self-learning. It's not going to help. Are you practicing self-learning? That's when you will develop your skill of self-learning. Then regular, timely, correct reflections, reviewing and self-monitoring from time to time. I'll also be giving some strategy for it later. Seeking help, being open to seeking help. This is what growth mindset is all about. Look for help, look for people who know about things and who can guide you. Then chunking and celebrating. You must know that your goals have to be achieved in smaller chunks, and appreciate yourself, feel happy about it once you achieve it. Another skill is fact check. Somehow this picture is not visible to me, but I know what I've put here is fact check. That's another skill. Children should be able to identify fake information, because self-learning relies heavily on, information technology, and there's a lot of material on the internet. So children also need to be given the skill of identifying fake information, fake news, etc. There are websites for it. There are tools for it, and we should train our children for the same. So active reading, we spoke about how it is to be done by engaging with the text, comparing, by seeing how two things are similar and they are not similar. Graphic organizers, like Venn diagram, it can compare two things which have some very stark differences and some common features. This helps them understand the two things very beautifully. Then mind map is about a particular concept, each and everything about the concept that you can think about. Now, these graphic organizers help to retain the information, to take their notes in a smaller space, in a smaller time period, revise it very quickly and easily. This may also appeal to those children who enjoy drawing and are good with, movement of their hands and with drawing, art, etc. Concept map is another graphic organizer. Concept map and mind map, I would suggest do a Venn diagram on them. So they seem to be similar, but the concept map helps children understand beyond a concept by connecting it to other relatable concepts. So it is interconnectedness of different concepts. Like you can see, there is a network being made. So that is interconnection of different concepts in a concept map. It's not just one concept. A flow chart. Here I've shown the flow chart of how the air, what path the air takes in our human respiratory system. So such things become easy, joyful, more retainable, easy to revise. Tree diagrams. Then timeline. I've put here our pandemic year, COVID-19 timeline. It's an interesting graphic organizer. While teaching history of anything, you can talk about it, whether it is about world wars, a particular world war, what were different events which led to what. Then let's say you want to show the timeline of the modern periodic table. So how initially there were only elements grouped together in sets of 3, then it went on 7, then 8, and how, on what basis, who gave what classification. So it's up to you how you want to take it. But it shows a chronological movement, a progression, time-wise. Fishbone diagram or Ishikawa diagram, also known as cause and effect diagram. This can be used for any concept, for any topic, any subject, where there is a cause and effect relationship. It can go beyond our academic subjects also. Like as a principal, if I have to think of the air quality getting degraded in the school, then what are those categories which could be responsible, right from equipment to procedures to ventilation to people? And then under each category, what could be those different causes? Lack of maintenance, inadequate circulation, incorrect procedure, etc. Here I've taken an example of something in general. So a fishbone diagram shows the mouth of the fish as the effect and the scales of the fish as the various causes. There can be further branching under each category of cause. So like late for work, if I just take one category of, let's say, environment. So under the environment category, the possible causes are traffic jam, then fog, rain, holiday, etc. The materials, measurement, method, people, machine, there are several categories. Now reflecting and reviewing. It's very important during the process. What we usually do at the end of a unit, at the end of some portion, we have an examination. It doesn't help. The reviewing, reflecting has to be continuous. Children have to constantly be made to think on questions like, is this making sense, whatever I'm learning or whatever I'm doing? Do I need to try some other strategy? Do I need help here? How is my pace? Am I on target? It helps us to move, to raise our game and to move on to a virtuous cycle of continuous improvement. I'm sharing a few strategies for reflection. These are amazing strategies. Some involve technology, some involve pen and paper, some involve just sharing with each other. I'm sure you might be using them. Please use them more often. Some of them are taken from visible thinking routines given by Project Zero of Harvard School of Education. I would be giving you a little idea about it. Please research on Project Zero. It's a project of Harvard Graduate School of Education. It has a complete thinking routine toolbox which has a collection of different routines, including cultures of thinking, visible thinking, artful thinking, agency by design, and use these thinking routines in your class. It will make your students better thinkers and hence better learners. Teach them also what are these routines so that they can also follow it. Sorry. Self-directed learning, what we have seen, what it encompasses is being aware of one's own learning. So self-awareness, teach them the skills of self-awareness like Johari's window. You can take help of your psychological counselor. Then you learn about it. You all can manage doing it with your students. The children should know metacognition. They should know about metacognition, and that is metacognition is learning about learning, how we learn. So every child should be able to, know his own style of learning. Again, you can do a style analysis. You can learn and perform it in your class. Do it for yourself. Children should know which multiple intelligences they possess. There are tests available. The professionals can do it. The self-directed learner needs to know how to learn in different environments, what to do for learning for different purposes. Like for what purpose one has to interview people, one has to meet people, for what one has to visit a place. So different purposes would require different steps. Then SDL or self-directed learning is about creating lifelong learners. We have to help them see the gaps and learn for life. A few strategies for doing this in our classes. So first of all, planning. If we want SDL culture in our school, right from planning stage, include SDL outcomes, self-learning outcomes in syllabus. There should be certain things which you are not teaching your particular, but you are giving freedom to children learn their way, and it should be assessed. Reflective assignments. During the planning stage itself, you plan for what am I going to ask as reflection during and at the end of my teaching. There are some examples below. I've already spoken about making them learn about metacognition, their learning styles, their multiple intelligences, visible thinking routines, use knowledge surveys. It's not about actual answers, but ask them to judge themselves on their ability to answer. You give them some questions or some concepts and ask them in the beginning, how able are you? How confident do you think in answering, confident do you think yourself to be in answering these? So you get an idea if the child is progressing in confidence, in ability. Then use pedagogies that encourage these skills, like critical thinking, problem solving, inquiry, the pedagogies where children get voice and choice, like learning. The children's voice and choice takes the center stage. They should be able to propose what problem they want to solve, which methods they would like to use to solve, etc. Now, monitoring learning, you need frequent feedback for yourself also, and you want children to reflect on what they're learning. So these are things called wrappers. Wrappers are handouts or surveys that they complete along with an assessment. And the wrappers could be like reflect writing assessment where they will have to write these kind of things, what resonated with you. And when you are giving it with exam, you can ask, how did you find the paper? Why you could do certain things well, why you could not do certain things well. Is there any suggestion for making this paper better, etc. So you can see how reflecting questions can be given with writing assessments also. Then you can always adopt this simple 1-minute classroom assessment, like what was the most important thing you learned today? What questions remain unanswered? What is the muddiest point? So these things can be asked to children to write on stick note, put it on the class board. You can go through it later, or you carry with you to understand where more you have to work on, what you have to tell children for their self-study based on what answers they have given. Use mind maps, test autopsies, very important. Look for patterns, look for common misconceptions, make them see their problems, make them understand what can they do to be successful in their examinations. Then while doing evaluation, I like this A point. When you give feedback, ask the child to paraphrase it in their words back to you. This would show that child has not only listened to you, but has understood exactly what you wanted. And if there is a gap in the understanding, you have another chance to explain. Please do this. What we do is, it's one way. We tell them this is it, and then we say, okay, you understood. Now you will follow it. So don't do that. Ask for this to be paraphrased back to you. This is another interesting thing. Write a letter to the next class, the junior class, describing what worked for you in this particular subject or in this particular semester, in this grade, and what you think you could have done differently. It would make them reflect. Then after every class, there can be a list of personal takeaways. It could be after every semester. What is the personal takeaway for a particular subject for a child? That from this year, after learning science, I understood that experimentation is important. I understood that, you know, one can be wrong with experimentations, or one need not always be very sure about a particular theory because it has been changing. This is what I have learned. The children can also be asked to write future users paper, asking them, okay, whatever you learn, what do you think would be used in your future and where? This would make child reflect, and child would even look out for information and would try to learn where he can apply the skills and knowledge that he has learned. So the impact of self-directed learning is that it helps us optimize our educational experience. It allows us to focus effort on useful information that we don't already possess. Basically, teach them all these skills that we have talked about. You model these skills, start self-learning, adopt accelerated learning. Accelerated is giving them in advance an idea of what you are going to teach, give them some idea of certain resources they can refer to, give them an idea of the goal, what you expect from them, ask them to share next day in the class or present it. That's called accelerated learning. Flipped learning is more or less the same thing, where the teacher's role is taken over by children. So they also share what they understand, what they have learned. It's like teacher, judging the child's presentation and child preparing for himself from various sources. So this helps the teacher judge the gaps and fill in with her expertise wherever required. Switch to different pedagogies, which would help in building these skills of critical thinking, problem solving, like project-based, inquiry-based, critical thinking approach, interdisciplinary, art-based, sports-based, because we said self-learning happens when you are interested in it. You feel engaged in it. There are some children who are into arts heavily, some who are into sports. When you use those methods, the children develop interest for self-learning as well. Use technology to your advantage. You all have been doing it, but there is no full stop to it. Keep doing. And modifying assessments and flexibility in ways of presenting. We are towards the end of it. I think I've taken all my time. So probably there won't be much time for questions. Ma'am, this is the last slide. May I take this?
Yeah. Yes.
You want to say something? Vijay ma'am?
I wanted to say it's the time, no? 6 o'clock we normally wind up.
Yes, ma'am.
So
I have 2 minutes or so.
Yeah, please.
I'll just try to do this. So friends, the presentation also can be shared with you. You can read this information. These are, I'm calling this as a toolkit for self-learning. How these various platforms are available, avenues are available for self-learning. Coming back to national education policy, we have focused on how important learning, how to learn is, moving from less content, but more towards critical thinking and solving problems, how to be creative, multidisciplinary, how to innovate, adapt, absorb new material in novel and changing fields, and the pedagogies, which we have already discussed, have been mentioned. This is a bonus for you because you're an excellent audience. There is a technique called Feynman, a fantastic technique of learning anything faster. 4 steps: pick a topic, learn about it as much as you can, write it down in a notebook. Second, teach it to a toddler. Imagine you are teaching it to a 6-year-old. Then see where you are stuck, what you're not able to explain in easy words. Then go back, learn in a way that you can explain again in simple words. Simplify, use analogies. As also said by Albert Einstein, if you cannot explain to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it. I'm ending it here. This is an assignment for you. Please read the book called Ultra Learning. There are 9 principles in it for learning anything fast. I'm quickly just showing those 9 principles. It's your assignment. Read Ultra Learning. What are the attributes of self-learners? This also you can read. If there are questions and comments, please let me know. I would like to read out this quote for you. If you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. And if you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, CEIR team and all the participants. Thank you for being here with me and listening to me.
Thank you so much, Jaya.
Shahjahan
Since we are
sir.
running.
Yes, sir. Please proceed, sir.
Yes, Dr. Season.
Shahjahan sir, 1 second, sir.
Okay.
Sir, many are asking for her presentation. So immediately we will be sharing our, that Facebook link to this chat box. So let them join them there and we can share the PPT later. Is it fine? Now we will not be able to do individually. We have a Facebook group. It's called News Desk. So that link will be sent to this group now. So please join that group so that at a stretch we can do that. Sir, please, sir.
Okay, Dr. Season, thank you very much, dear Board of Directors. Our honorable guest or the speaker of the day, Dr. Jaya Parekh. She's the principal of Ratna International School, Mumbai. Madam, that you did an excellent job. You have gone vertically and horizontally, and we know that you haven't got sufficient time to present very well. However, within the time allotted, that you have given us a lot of information. The subject itself is very important because it is according to the time that you did well, and the CAR is very thankful to you for your kind assistance and kind support. And we have enjoyed your session. It's amazing, a good session. That thank you very much for all. Dear Board of Directors and zonal directors, premium members, principals, and all participants. Now we have reached, I wanted to say something about the CAR, and we are doing an excellent job, and it is appreciated by everyone from home and abroad. You have to keep in mind, according to the requirement of time, that we are making the programs. You might have, or you are knowing that yesterday that what we did, that's another series of this thing regarding, it means NEP, on section wise. That's going on the first leg, I completed yesterday, and we are doing such kind of very important items. All are requested to pass this message to everyone. And in the meantime, I request the audience or the participants of today that CEAR, there is no limitation, nothing is there, that everyone can come forward. And especially the zonal directors will have to take some initiative to make others also members to be asked. However, that we can, we made a lot, it means a reputation and everything, a lot of people joining us continuously, and they are requesting for zonal director positions and this thing, that thing, have no problem according to qualification. And those who are working with us by monitoring their efficiency, and we will give them proper chances, and everybody will be benefited from this one. We keep this thing in mind. And other thing, because of the time, I have been a small thing I wanted to tell you. Now this is the time that the new academic year also most probably in the online basis. Certain things that we can do, we can impress the parents. Yeah, now most of them are teachers and in front of us now. That that in the beginning that our Vijayama mentioned, that the handwriting is the signature of an individual. That CAR is doing a lot of effort to increase, it means to develop the handwriting of the children. It became effective, and that for that also we are getting a lot of appreciation from outside. That's a keep in mind. I request, or I wanted to remind the principals and the educators, this is the right time to take a decision in your school to introduce this system. CEIR is supporting this handwriting as a part of its it means that's its commitment. However, the teachers or the principals that will have to go through our website. You will get more information from them. And wanted to remind to all of you, this is the right time to take a decision, or this is the right time to apply this thing in your school, that would be better for creating an excellent generation. Anyhow, I once again, I thank all participants and the principals, managers, so whoever it may be, it means Dr. Season, all directors, zonal directors, board of directors, premium members, and all members, plus the persons who attended this thing. Convey, it means I am giving you my regards on behalf of me and on behalf of CEIR. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll meet again. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that this number, I mean, the Facebook link has also shared the group. Am I right? It is there. Okay. Thank you. Sir, shall we wind up then?
CEIR.
Thank you, ma'am. Extremely, I'm really grateful to you, Jaya ma'am. Vijay ma'am, Shahjahan sir.
Thank you, Jaya.
Thank you,
Vijay ma'am, for the opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
So Vijay ma'am, you had set expectations.
Dear Jaya, congratulations, storehouse of energy you are, and a complete encyclopedia. It's a comment from in the chat box. It's a good compliment for you, ma'am.
Okay, I would like you to share the chat with me if possible. I couldn't read, much of it. Thank you. We had very kind audience who have written such beautiful words. I'm really thankful. And my pranams once again to my mentor, my guru, Vijay ma'am, for the opportunity and for always guiding and encouraging me.
Thank you. Thank you. Vande Guru. Vande Guru.